But here's the take I'm going to have right now, because we're not going to talk Colorado, but I'm just telling all you out there, and be warned. I'm warning you right now. The team we are about to talk about, if I hear one dick rider on Monday bash Matt, I'm just throwing this disclaimer. I'm throwing this disclaimer out here, Matt, because I'm dead ass serious. I will go in full ham Whitlock mode if anyone comes out there and wants to be hypocritical, because I already can see it, forward thinking that I am. I can already see what's about to happen. We're about to discuss a very good friend of both of ours, a very good head coach,
Nebraska,
and a program that is a arch nemesis rival of Colorado. And I'm going to hear these fucking dick riders on Monday give Matt shit for talking about the rival in red, and yet they don't want him to talk about Colorado every day because it's a Colorado show and da da da. But then when we talk about someone else, why are you talking about Nebraska? Who the fuck can we talk about, motherfucker? I'm warning you fucking dick riders. If I hear a mention, I'm going to show and talk Colorado all week long next week. Every day will be a Colorado thumbnail. Every day will be a fucking prime sexual thumbnail. Every single day I will make up shit. I will create shit. I will make this the worst fucking Colorado show in the history of sports if you come at Matt about talking about Nebraska. Now, I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, they're 100% going to do it. So, Bailey, get ready. Bailey, go ahead and make 5 Colorado thumbnails and get a chance. 100%. Especially
hey,
you just challenge everybody. They're definitely doing it now.
JB.
All right, here we go. Matt Rhule's come out and basically started his practice philosophy and started to talk about his program, Nebraska. We both respect and love Coach Rhule for what he does. It's not, I don't believe rivals are been in existence for forever, Matt. We don't pick and choose what teams our friends coach at later in life. You and I may be head coaches at Colorado State one day. We're not turning down the job if it pays right, just FYI. So bottom line is sometimes grown men have to take jobs, and it doesn't matter if you're an alum from another school or a fan of another school. It is what it is. You got to be grown up and help kids, and that's what we do. So in this fact, Nebraska is coached by a friend of ours, Matt Rhule, who has gone in and done some motivational speaking lately and started talking about some things. And he's talking about practice. He's talking about all his philosophies. And I think he actually leads the country in least amount of people entering the portal from his program. He's had a few leave, but that's really it. Far and few between. What do you got to say about Matt Rhule? I think there's a video of him speaking at a clinic right here. I want to take a listen to this clinic speech.
In the games is actually showing up in practice. And then finally reps. I have grown as a coach recently.
By the way, the Texas High School Coaches Association is the largest high school and coaches association in the world, in the country. And shout out to the Texas High School Coaches Association, which has several D1 and NFL head coaches involved in it. Coach Beatty, good friend of mine, used to be the head coach at KU, is a Texas high school legend. So is Matt Rhule. Matt Rhule was there, obviously, when he was at Baylor. He got a big-time tie with the Texas High School Association. So he's back in Texas speaking at the Texas High School Coaches Association, which I've got to speak at as well. So here it is.
By listening to Coach Osborne. Like, how arrogant would it be for me to come to the University of Nebraska, to sit down with Frank Solich and Tom Osborne, have them tell me how they won national championships, and then say, thank you, I'm going to do it the way I did at the Temple. Now, I got to do it my way. I can't paint the colors of the bathroom the same that they did. But there's a blueprint to win in Nebraska. And the blueprint was reps. The blueprint was 4 stations going on at all times. The first offense versus a scout team, the second offense versus a scout team, the first defense, the second defense. Like, how can we accommodate that? And so as we try to do it, we don't have as many guys as they used to have. And as a young head coach and always having an ego, trying to figure out, well, we can't do it because of this, we can't do it because of that. Just did a little bit of math. We said, well, how many guys we have? We got about 105 guys right now, so we can have 3 drills going at once. So we have 9 on 7 going on down here, and we're thumping and running the ball and butting guys up, and we have receivers and DBs and linebackers over here, a second group, and they're throwing bubble screens, and they're coming up, and they're playing the perimeter. Then inside, I got Garrett McGuire and Coop, and they're running 7-on-7, and the guys are rotating around. And instead of guys standing around watching, which is what they do their whole lives now anyway, they're getting reps, and they're playing football. And what I found was as they play more football, they like more football. And instead of saying, well, coach doesn't give me a chance, they're getting a chance. And they're developing by doing.
I want to stop it right there. That's a huge pet peeve of mine. That's why you saw, and if you watch Netflix at all at practice, first of all, you were strapped up. If you weren't on the field, you have to take your helmet off the sideline and take it off. Number one. Number two, there was no sitting around. Other than a couple kickers maybe during practice, we were doing 4 things at all times. And I believe what he's saying right there is a fact, Matt, and I want to get your take on it, and Smitty understands this too. Back in the day, we used to know we had 2 groups going. Everybody else was on a knee on the sideline or standing on the sideline. The biggest thing back then, the biggest coaching point back then, even when Smitty was coaching, I'm sure, was get back. You guys make sure you're behind the line.
Yeah,
well, I hated it. I hated doing it. I didn't do it. I didn't even want to deal with that. So years ago, I started making sure everybody was involved in something. And if you were injured, guess what? You had a referee jersey on, and you were a fucking referee at practice, and the players had to hand them the ball because it was ball security. So I was using different things and tactics as Matt is doing right now. No excuse, no political play. Coach, I don't get enough practice reps. Yeah, you do. We got film going on 4 stations. I get to see you on 7-on if you're a DB or receiver. I get to see you at 9-on-7 or inside run. I get to see all the linemen. I get to see all the one-on-one stuff with the DBs and wideouts. I get to see who's got contact courage, chasing down a bubble screen and taking on the X receiver and then fighting to get the bubble screen and playing the force, being the force player in the flat. I get to see all the contact courage. I get to see the tackling. I get to see all the shit. All at one time, no one sitting around. And then when that may be why they have the least amount of transfer portal kids. I'm just throwing that out there. So I want to get your take on that take.
Okay. First of all, I got nothing but respect for Coach Rhule and the University of Nebraska. Now, I hate the end. It's bred into me to hate it, but it's changed significantly since I played. I mean, I've sent several players to play there. I have a great relationship with a lot of the coaches. Coach Knighton played for the Broncos out here. I know him personally. He's a good friend. He's their D-line coach. Coach Rhule, Coach Satterfield, their tight end coach. I can almost guarantee you that Nebraska is going to offer Zane in the next 1 or 2 days because they were all over him. They loved watching him in the gym, and CU offered him today. They're going to see that because I'm about to send it to them if they haven't seen it already, and we're going to keep the party going. So, the competition there is going to rev up. Coach Rhule is a real one. He's a program builder. He's not an NFL coach. He knows that. He's a college coach. He's done a great job everywhere he's gone. And now he's at a powerhouse where all they have in the entire state is that. And it's almost like Alabama, but Auburn's in Alabama. Like Nebraska literally has nothing. They have Nebraska. That's it. They've got Creighton. They got Creighton basketball,
corn
which
and
is
wheat
cool in Omaha. But I'm talking sports perspective. All they have is the Omaha Beef. If that's
no professional team. That's another thing no one talks about. I think they're
just Nebraska. So they love their school, and they should. That place is incredible. So
I think they're one of the bigger states. They're not a huge state, but they're a bigger state. Kansas, Nebraska are still fairly large states. They are one of the largest states. Unpopulated state. They're like Montana.
You can drive for hours in Nebraska and drive through 3 towns. So
they're like Montana and Wyoming. They're 2 teams that just don't have a pro sport. And
all they got is Terrence Crawford, the boxer who's from there.
But I will say this: the University of Nebraska used to be the gold standard, and it still could be if they can figure out how to win in the Big Ten and compete with Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, teams like that. So their brand is definitely big enough. They put enough money into it. I thought the Scott Frost thing would work. It didn't. I think the Matt Rhule thing will work. I do think Coach Rhule is in the right place. I don't think he'll program jump off of that place. Look, the hate between CU and Nebraska, it's real. Let's be real. Last year when I went and sat in 101 with all the Nebraska fans, it was I get as much vitriol from them as I get from CU people now. So I'm right in the middle. Everybody can just hate away. But it's healthy. I think Colorado and Nebraska should find a way to play every year. The preseason, games where you're playing somebody new, moving to the new Big 12 now. We had Kansas State on the non-conference schedule. Now they're a conference game. So you had West Virginia on the non-conference schedule, and now they're a conference game. So let's fill those conference games with this game. Colorado and Nebraska should be played every year, home and away, back to back to back to back to back for the rest of time. And because I really think that it's look at last year's game, look at this year's game. It's already on national TV again. I think it's a big draw. And now, you got Texas A&M back. When I was growing up and when I played, the Friday after Thanksgiving was always Colorado, Nebraska in the morning, and Texas A&M and Texas in the afternoon, and then Florida State was the nightcap on the East Coast. And it was like, it was just Pitt and West Virginia would always play that weekend, the backyard brawl. It was just the way college football is supposed to be. That's Iron Bowl weekend. That's when you play the people you hate the most, but you also respect the most. Let's be real. The University of Nebraska, the reason we hate them so much in Boulder is because we chased them for so long. So, I take a lot of pride in being I'm pretty sure I can say this with confidence, the only senior in a 5-year span to beat them 3 times. And I take a lot of pride in that shit. So, yeah, man, look, Nebraska's on the up. That's not debatable. I think that they're going to be a 9-10 win team next year. And it's because of their quarterback. I think that the game in Lincoln with Shedeur and Raiola's only going to be a freshman, but I think you're going to see Shedeur cement himself as top 3 pick. Whoever needs a quarterback, he's the first one. And then I think you're going to see Raiola, the outstanding quarterback from Nebraska, who just absolutely balled out and is balling out. I think he's going to cement himself as the next, Shedeur type, the next guy that's going to play 2-3 years in Lincoln and then be a top 5 pick. So that's going to be a hell of a contest. 2 great coaches, 2 great quarterbacks. You got really the Nebraska's defense is fucking loaded. They got some really good players up front. CU's offensive line has gotten a lot better. They got some really good players up front. So I think that this is a battle of titans, bro, and I'm really excited for the game. I can't fucking wait to go back to Lincoln, bro. That place is dope. There's nothing better than winning there, too, by the way. Winning there it's so fun. I won there as a senior. We went back in 2018 when LaVisca Chenault caught that ball from Montez in the corner to win the game, and it was fucking. We were on the sideline. My boy Shaun and I, was a great buff. It's a great game and part of college football history, and it definitely needs to be played yearly. So hopefully, all the folks in Lincoln and all the folks in Boulder can figure out how to make this happen.
When it comes to hate, I'm curious, as a Colorado buff, which team or which school do you guys hate more traditionally? Is it Nebraska or is it Colorado State?
It's Nebraska by far. Colorado State's an annoying little brother.
Got you.
Like Colorado State, look, I'll say this. Morgan Pierce and Eric Pierce are 2 great Colorado State Rams that are my age. Played against both of them in college. Eric played for 13 years in the league. Great player. I train Tate now. Tate's Morgan's son. And we were in there talking about this the other day. Hey, if I come up to Fort Collins for the game, can we all tailgate together and shit? And he's like, well, maybe. I don't know how friendly we're going to be that weekend. And I'm like, yeah, I'm testing you. I don't know how friendly we're going to be that weekend either. So there's a lot of disdain there too. But CSU looks at Colorado the way Colorado looks at Nebraska. CSU's always chasing CU. Was always chasing Nebraska. CU doesn't chase Nebraska anymore. We've got a winning record. We're 8-7 against them since 2001. I take a lot of pride in that since 2000. So I take a lot of pride in that being part of the team that turned that shit around. Because when I was growing up, bro, they beat us from 89, the 89-90 title. They beat us 10 straight years, and only one of them was not a 1-score game, overtimes. And my freshman year in Lincoln, we scored with 40 seconds left back of the end zone to beat them, and we squib kicked it. It ricocheted off the front line guy. They got the ball at the 40, threw a couple out routes and hit a 53-yard field goal to beat us by a point. So There's a ton of history in this game and bad blood, and that's what rivalries are about.
Hey, is Nebraska, speaking of Nebraska today, is Nebraska still reeling from losing a good friend of mine, Bo Pelini, or Frank Solich, who went, I think, like 60-19?
I thought they did Frank dirty, personally.
Oh, they did. They did do him dirty. And then Pelini won 9 games his last year. They fired him. They were always chasing.
Won 10 games, dog, his last year and got
Yeah, I know. It's like they were always chasing the legend, and like they never got to be that guy, and they kept wanting to fucking think they were going to get him. And I'm like, dog, you're not. This is a different landscape.
Look, the standard in Lincoln is always going to be national titles. That's what they do there. But I think that you could ask any Nebraska fan, because I have so many in my family and I just know so many of them, because Nebraska, Colorado, they don't want to live there. They all move here, which is cool. Colorado kicks ass. Everything's illegal in Nebraska too. Keep that in mind, other than Budweiser. So, I look at it like it's Nebraska's been humbled since they've moved to the Big Ten. They've had some good teams. They've been ranked, and they've been to the Big Ten title game several times, and the Taylor Martinez teams were awesome. They've had some really good squads, but they haven't won a Big Ten title. They haven't reached the Rose Bowl. They haven't they haven't done things that Nebraska traditionally does. So maybe it's humbled the fan base enough for them to understand that a 9 or a 10-win season is pretty fucking awesome. Instead of like, oh my God, you only won 10 games. How'd you lose to Kansas State and Nebraska? How dare you? Or how'd you lose to Kansas State and Colorado? How dare you? Like, you're going to lose to your rivals every now and then. So, hopefully it's been flipped a little bit, because I think college football is better when they're good. I just do. That they're, a big school in the Midwest, and I think that college football is better when Nebraska is a good program. It's really fun to beat them when they're good. It sucks beating them when they suck.